All right, so with this is the time for second special address on repositioning and reimagining imaging India, a focus on innovation and technology. Can I please have on dais with me Mr. Radha Krishna Pillai, Director, SPM Foundation. Everyone, please welcome the gentleman on stage.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak to my fraternity, HR. So let's set the rules right so that organizers also are not worried when is it going to stop. So the paper says 15 minutes. Should I make it 15 or make it 10 or 7 or 3? So 15? Okay, 15 including Q&A. Okay. So when this topic was given to me, repositioning and reimagining India, a focus on innovation and technology. The organizer said, PowerPoint presentation bhej do. So we'll take it technologically and all those things. And let me do one thing. Let me not make a PowerPoint presentation, but try to attempt to make some powerful points which I feel useful for this particular group. So no PPTs, no loading. So when I was looking at preparing this, I looked at 3 keywords which I feel my presentation should be, or my speech should be presented around. So the first one that came was India, repositioning. Second one which I thought I should definitely speak on is Chanakya, because that's my area of expertise, research. Last 14 years I've been working on that. And the popular figure and the face of mine is the book called Corporate Chanakya, of which I'm an author. I run an institution in the Mumbai University, Chanakya Institute of Public Leadership. And finally, I'll focus a little bit on the group, that is HR. So let me start with the first one, which is repositioning India from the point of innovation and technology. I would say globally, India has arrived. As Peter Drucker put it very nicely, one of the foremost management gurus of our times, the future that has already happened. You know, he was a person who could see the future, not by magic, not by some astrological devices. He could see trends and he could see where the generation is moving. And he was the one who created concepts like knowledge workers, public-private partnerships, etc. But he came from insights of observing what's happening around. So if you look at what's happening around globally, most of us have traveled globally, the position of India has gone beyond snake charmers. That's already gone story. To somewhere we say that we are world leaders. So, you know, this Vishwa Guru, Jagat Guru already has happened within India, and, you know, somewhere that elephant has arrived and an elephant has got up, everything is there. But what is very important is to see the role of innovation and technology, the 2 keywords that has been used in my particular presentation, is that it is only because of innovation and technology that we have arrived. The very well known is IT sector, you know, that's been employing and outsourcing and BPO to now KPO and whatever. But what is also interesting is that that's innovating IT at the educated level, but we talk about concepts like Jugaad at the basic level, at the village level. A farmer is doing something, a mechanic is doing something. In Punjab, somebody is using, you know, washing machine for mass manufacturing of lassi. So that's innovation somewhere at the basic level. But what's very interesting is that when you look at demographic today, we're talking about technology being used by the young Indians, the Gen X, who are using social media. Think about the positioning that has happened at the world platform when the Gen X is actually using technology. 6 months back, politicians were considered the devils. Nobody wanted a political career, right? The chores. And suddenly what has happened? The biggest celebrity today in India is Mr. Modi, right? Even cricketers, IPL is happening around. If you look at any newspaper, IPL is the last end of the news, isn't it? One Mumbai Indians versus Delhi Daredevils. Today everything is on. So social media can take a completely different positioning of what India is all about. Cricketers, film stars are all secondary. So position in an imagination way using the media. Let me tell you, being a professor at the Mumbai University, I've got a lot of these young boys and girls who use this social media. And yesterday, one student of mine who's very active in social media comes and gives, "Sir, you know," as our previous speaker also rightly pointed out, Mr. Modi is already number 2 social media and is very soon going to surpass Obama and all that stuff. But that's positioning of India at the psychological level globally. When the election results are happening, imagine Times Now is being broadcasted at New York Times Square. I get calls from my friends in UK and US and say, we get confidence. We get confidence that we can talk about it proudly. My brother-in-law works at the United Nations. He says we were a soft country Mr. Modi has not even taken the oath of being a prime minister. But what exactly happens is that because of the message that's happening, we say we have somewhere re-innovated ourselves. Now let me come back to Chanakya, my second point. After working in this particular field for 14 years, suddenly Chanakya is all around. Chanakya Puri is coming to the limelight, and Kautilya 11, that's supposed to be the new powerhouse, because that's where the Gujarat building is for the government of India. But what is very interesting is that Chanakya talked about change related to human beings. 2400 years ago, when he wrote the Arthashastra, he made a change in the way governance happened. Chanakya is not as a kingmaker, he is not as a person who wrote the Arthashastra, Kautilya, all that is fine. But if you look at the key thought in Arthashastra, in a kind of a generation where the most powerful person was the king, he said, listen, you may be a powerful king by position, but you need to take the people along with you. You need to understand that it has to be people-centric. If you don't make your policies, structures, and development around people, there will be people revolt. So like the Bhagavad Gita, which is the most well-known one, verse, sutra, shloka, yada yada hi dharmasya. So among the Arthashastra, among 6,000 sutras, if you were to pick up that one sutra of Arthashastra, which is the epitome and contains the crux of Chanakya's teachings, that is, praja sukhe sukham rajnah prajanam cha hite hitam. In the happiness of the people lies the happiness of the king. And what makes people happy? If you adapt that, you will be happy. A corporate world, we call it customer-centric. Right? Today it's become employee-centric. It's people who actually will govern. Now coming to HR, last point. What do we look at reimagining India, innovating India, Chanakya and our own people? I would like to basically summarize by saying HR, the generation that all of us came, initially started as one small department called as personal department, admin department, and when the labor era came, when the textile industries in Bombay and across, it was considered a little bit more elevated position called as IR, where they have to deal strategically with the unions and all that things. When the IT and the BPO and the knowledge workers came in, today we are talking about talent, etc. But you'd be surprised, Chanakya in his Arthashastra gives a good model of governance called the Saptanga model. Swami Amatya Janapada Durga Kosha Dandamitra Iti Prakriteya. I'll not speak about it much because it's already written in detail in my next book, Chanakya 7 Secrets of Leadership, which is already doing very well in the market. You can get a copy of that. But here I would like to emphasize, among the 7 most important qualities or 7 most important elements of an organization, 5 of them are human-centric. Except for Durga, which is infrastructure, and Kosha, which is finance. But even a good infrastructure and a good finances depend on the remaining 5, which is people. It starts, of course, with the leader. That's why he's saying that, change the leader and the organization changes. Yatha Raja, Tatha Praja. CEO sets an example, then you don't have a debate. You don't require a rule to be set up. You travel, people travel. You don't travel, if you just say, it doesn't matter. So here it is, like to tell that we are only talking about human resource management, but unfortunately, we have missed upon saying that human resource may be a starting point. But the remaining point is that you may have to even manage monkeys within an organization. And Ramana gives an excellent example of Rama having no human resource. All these guys, but monkeys are the most, they can't even sit at one place. You can't even give them a vision. You can't give them a purpose. But there is one way of actually making people work for the nation for a higher purpose. It's called bhakti. An uneducated man can actually connect to God directly. If your organization's purpose is higher than just making profits, it's for the nation, it's for something higher, it's for God, whatever you make it, the last man understands it. The peon, the driver understands it. Give them a vision and see the transformation that happens. So here is what Swami Vivekananda put it very nicely. Every soul is potentially divine. It is not about what I want. People come to us, look at what is good in that particular person. What is that one thing which is a talent about him? Give him or her an environment to nurture it and bring out the best. Instead of making that person fit into what I want, can you reinvent it? Can you innovate it and say what's good in you, can we use it for our organization? I like to give my own example as I'm winding up. From the HR fraternity, I've been speaking and talking, and there is a friend of mine called Rajesh Kamath. He is from this MTHR group, many of you may be aware of that, quite active in Bombay and all. He's been an HR manager. He comes on and says, Radha, let's start a company. You've been doing so much on Chanakya and all those things. And I said, listen, Radha, I would like to start off at a senior position in finance and all this. I said, that's okay. But Rajesh, I want to know what's that exactly thing that you're good at. And I realized, why should I look upon an HR guy only as an HR guy? Can't I look upon him as a CEO? We started a new company completely, and now he's on the roll. Why can we only think of HR guys as people who are one process-oriented people? Can't they be the guys, like Narendra Modi said in Arnab's interview? Remember that interview? I think the crux of the interview is the last two lines, where he said, Bhagwan ki kripa mujh pe itni rahi hai कि I can manage human beings, I can empower people. You seen that? So I'm good at that. So if a PMO has come to that particular power position by understanding human resource, can we look at that human resource with the smallest guy in an organization to the biggest guy? I think we are re-innovated and India has already arrived. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, and I request once again to kindly come on stage, Mr. Rajesh Khubchandani from ETH. Well, we thank Mr. Radhakrishnan for his kind words, and I request Rajesh Khubchandani from ETH to hand over the bouquet. Thank you so much.